mentions. So if you want your brand to be recommended in AI search, like ChatGPT or Google's AI mode, then you're going to need to be mentioned on third-party websites other than your own. So getting these mentions is commonly referred to as mention building, but people often get a few things wrong. So I'd like to take a little bit of time and just talk about which mentions are actually going to help you get recommended by these large language models like ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity, or whatever. How AI actually finds you. So first of all, it's important to understand that these large language models, they're not scouring the internet trying to find every mention of your brand. Instead, when somebody goes to ChatGPT or Google's AI, they're looking for a recommendation about the kind of product or service that you sell. So the model performs a real-time search, and then it might retrieve 100 web pages and then look at about a dozen of them. So ultimately, it really only matters if you're mentioned on those dozen web pages. So here's the surgical approach. Now, of course, the websites and pages that it cites will differ depending on the prompt. But if you're tracking a large set of prompts across these models, then you're going to find that there tend to be a set of pages that are cited over and over again. And these frequently cited websites and pages will differ greatly based on the industries that you're in. So you really need to be tracking the kinds of prompts that your customers and prospects are typing as a first layer. The recommendation, the second thing is to understand, is that a large language model? Is it going to recommend you simply because you were mentioned on a website? The mention actually has to be a recommendation for your brand. Often the recommendation can be implicit, like you're showing up at the top of a listicle. And that's the main reason third-party reviews are so important. They help you rank at the top of these listicles. So if you focus your effort, however, as I was saying before, you don't need to be getting reviews on every directory. So there are probably 1 to 3 directories that large language models really like for your industry. And then you should focus your efforts there. So for many industries, discussion forums like Reddit and Facebook groups are often cited. But again, it is typically the same threads and posts that are cited over and over again. So instead of just randomly spraying recommendations for your brand, then you want to take a surgical approach as to which ones. Leave helpful comments on those threads that actually are being cited, and try and engage in the conversation. The hardest but most valuable place, and then in most industries, articles are going to be a big source of citations. This is typically the hardest place for you to get a recommendation, but I do think it's worthwhile to reach out to the author of these highly cited articles and ask, what would it take for them to recommend you instead of someone else? And some of them are happy to do it for, I don't know, £100 or a reciprocal mention. And I think it's well worth reaching out and asking, can you get the mention, This is number 8 of the Tenacious AI Marketing Framework. And if you haven't watched the other 7 videos, I recommend going back and watching them all. And we've got 3 more to go, so we'll see you in the next one.